Thank you so much for tuning into No Soundbites Allowed today. I'm the political dragon, Michael Voss. On this podcast, we don't settle for sound bites. We dive deeper, challenge assumptions, and have the conversations that matter. If you liked today's show, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us your comments. Follow me on the major social media platforms like X, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and more to stay updated on upcoming episodes and join the conversation live on our next live stream. We love hearing from you and we value every perspective. We stream live, responding to your chats and calls starting at 2:30 p.m. every Sunday. Stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, don't settle for the sound bites. They really want you to believe that Trump and MAGA are evil and bad people. Trump shared a video on the road of some art on someone's truck. That means MAGA is evil. They don't want you to think about Kathy Griffin. They don't want you to think about how Kathy Griffin was defended across the nation. They don't want you to think about how Kathy Griffin was cheered by the mainstream news media for her art. Is a picture of Biden being tied up the same thing as Trump being beheaded? I don't think so. And I think the violent people are on the left. So the first debate of 2024 is done. Democrats are already admitting Biden is toast. Perhaps the only question that remains is, are Democrats going to try and ditch Joe Biden using the 25th Amendment? But perhaps the most important and troubling thing that happened during the debate was when Jake Tapper asked
President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes.
Joe Biden just one-upped his statement to Charlemagne. It's not just black people who have no choice on how they vote. If you want to be an American, you must vote Democrat because Joe Biden said so. That's authoritarian, and that's why he's losing. What did you think of that statement? So here are the 4 reasons why Kamala Harris is lying to you about lowering food prices. Number 1, price gouging. 37 states already have laws in place about price gouging. If it was an issue, you'd be seeing those states take action. Number 2, interest rates are at 5.5%. With unemployment at 4.3% and increasing, you're not likely to see the rates come down. Number 3, war in the Ukraine. Ukraine is responsible for a large part of the fertilizer and the wheat in the world. Since the war started, there's been a 30% decrease in the amount of food in the world. Prices have increased because of that. And the main reason why we're seeing food prices increase is inflation, because debt spending. Democrats spend more by about $2 trillion than we bring in. The more money we print, the more poor people become even more poor. Unless Kamala Harris is going to slash Democratic spending by 50%, we're going to see that continue to increase. Those are the 4 reasons that Kamala Harris knows very well why she's not going to lower food prices. So here are the 4 reasons why. Type in the comments and tell me, Mike, you just missed it. You don't understand. Black people, there's evidence of black people not being able to vote. I don't know where it exists because no one's ever found it. They've been looking. They've been looking for a long time now. Stacey Abrams was trying to find the evidence. Didn't exist. We were in Congress. Couldn't find it. Didn't exist. They've done studies. Doesn't exist. Going forward. Democrat Mike says, Republicans win the Senate, Democrats win the House, Kamala wins the presidency. That's your prediction. I think you're wrong. I don't think that Republicans win the Senate. I think Democrats will hold that. To be fair, I really think they will hold that. I think Democrats lose the House. Absolutely. And I think that you see Kamala lose the presidency. Given the polls that I've seen, even though that predicted the betting odds have switched, I think it's still, we're in a honeymoon phase. We have had nothing but positive news on Kamala. They have literally rewritten history to make Kamala look appealing. But that only works as long as Kamala doesn't actually take a stand. She hasn't. The only reason why she's so well liked as she is at the moment, which isn't very well liked at all. Her approval rating, again, is only 40%. She's not well liked. But the reason why she's doing as well as she is because she hasn't actually taken a stance. Because she doesn't stand for anything. And the moment that she does, I think you see a difference in those numbers. I think you see that reverse. I may be wrong, but that's fine. And Democrat Mike, that's fine. You think you will be right. Fantastic. I don't think you will. Every other poll is for Donald Trump, with a net overall average of 3.3% lead. Not a lot, but it's a lead. And if you look at this consistently, one, look at the gap that has happened since the debate. It's been enormous. It has grown to one of the highest, one of the largest leads for Donald Trump since this goes all the way back to, this is a year. Over the last year, we haven't seen so much of a lead for Donald Trump. And he has been consistently leading Joe Biden overall. So, and when we look at poll after poll after poll, not to say that, yeah, there was a Morning Consult poll on the morning of July 28th. Yeah, it had Biden up by 1. There was one by TIPP that had Joe Biden up by 2. There was a tie back on the 21st of June. Yeah, I'm not saying that Joe Biden has lost every single poll, but look at the trend. And the trend tells you what you're seeing. That, yeah, so you are factually wrong. Factually wrong. You can feel whatever you want to feel. You are factually wrong. I don't look at one poll on one day. I look at all of the polls averaged out. I look at the trend over time. And the answer is, yes, Donald Trump is leading. He has been leading, and his lead has been increasing. Rachel Scott starts off, and she wastes no time. She barely has time to be pleasant to introduce or to welcome Donald Trump to the event. Her tone is not friendly at all. She is preparing to attack. She's very aggressive, and her positioning is very aggressive. Now, that means that Trump, who's been through a few news interviews before, can see what is coming, as we can as well watching this.
A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today.
Some of the background about the event. Many of the black journalists do not like Donald Trump. They think he's racist. Mind you, there is no evidence of his racism. There's a lot of accusations of racism, but there's no proof. Not from the days of the NAACP, not during his time as president, not now. Insensitive? Maybe. Racist? No, that doesn't exist. So there are some who had serious objections to being able to hear from a presidential candidate to answer questions and to see whether or not they should vote for him. That doesn't seem to make sense. Their job as journalists is to ask anyone in power questions and to provide those questions and those answers to the public. That's the job. That's what you do. It's not personal. You don't have to like the person you interview. It seems that in Binghamton, there is going to be an attempt to place onto the 2024 November ballot a resolution to dissolve the Binghamton police force. This is surprising. Now, this is not unique. Defunding the police is something that New York State has been very active in trying to do. We've seen this happen in many cities across the country. It's happened in Minneapolis, in Portland, LA, Chicago. It's happened across the country in all of the major centers of BLM and that far left ideology. And Binghamton, New York is not separate of that. Binghamton, New York is a huge progressive center in the middle of New York State. That's because of Binghamton University and its administration that support things like the Confucius Institute, which we have covered in the past. But the person who is putting up this referendum to defund the police, to literally remove the entire Binghamton police force, is a man named John Solak.
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy.
So we can automatically see that the answer to the question is, well, Donald Trump is a liar. That's why people like him, and they shouldn't. That he's lying to them and they're just buying the lie, which is insane to me. I think this is crazy. And we're going to see this play out in the answer here, and there will be some pushback on it. But I think it's incredible that she starts off with a factually, empirically, mathematically lie. It's just not true what she's trying to get across. But it does feed into the emotional question that said, well, Orange Man is bad. Tell me, why don't those people love you? And the answer is they just don't understand how bad Orange Man is. It's crazy.
I'm tired. I'm tired. Tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's right. I'm sick and tired of not seeing things change. I'm sick and tired of people talking the talk but not walking the walk. Sacrificing and put some real skin in the game. And that's sad. And that's sad. It shouldn't have taken my son to be murdered, right? For things to happen. But unfortunately it is. So on November 4th, all right, I'm not telling nobody who to vote for, but I'm just telling anybody who has not voted, all right, who's within the sound of my voice, the people hiding behind the windows in these buildings, who are still in the closet, who are conservative, but don't want to come out and say it, all right, because they're afraid of being called an Uncle Tom or a coon or a white supremacist, right? But the people within the sound of my voice behind these windows, right? If you have not voted already, please come out on November 4th and cast your vote for our Donald J. Trump. Vote on down the line.
I saw a war in Iraq that was manipulated by CIA data to bring our troops into harm's way, and it killed thousands of troops. It killed and displaced millions of Iraqis, and now we have tens of thousands of military veterans who have suffered from suicide due to the trauma they suffered from the United States war machine. So as Commander-in-Chief, the first thing I'm going to do is signal that we're removing our military footprint from every single continent. We are not the world's leaders. It is not our job to fight wars all over the world. It is not our job to exacerbate conflict in the world. In fact, the best way that we can promote peace is through free trade, free markets, and actually engaging in free commerce and voluntary exchange with nations around the world. Because if I'm selling something to you or I'm buying something from you, I don't have a vested interest in shooting at you. And that's the way we change this. Right now, we've been exporting our values around the world with the bomb, the bullet, and the drone. And it has led to further tension against the United States. It will eventually, as Ron Paul and others have said in the past, it will lead to blowback if we continue this. We have to end the war machine and promote peace through actually saying we are not going to be dropping bombs on your kids anymore. That's the first thing that we need to be doing. How many Iraqis are dead? How many people see their kids dying around the world? How many kids have died in Gaza today in the Ukraine war because the United States has exacerbated the conflict? It's time for us to have a new foreign policy vision, one that is rooted in actual free trade and diplomacy with our neighbors, because that's the way we engage with our neighbors here at home. We engage in commerce and discourse and respect with one another. We don't shoot our neighbors just because we disagree with them, and we need to make that the policy of the United States.
But there's a good ending for AI too. It could be used by the people to make government responsive and transparent again. And blockchain has a very, very strong role in doing that too. And that's why we need to support those, keep them here in our country, and keep them. And we need to elect a president who understands the potential and the peril of those technologies. They have the capacity, AI has the capacity to make us the boss, the sovereign of our government once again. And I'm going to use it that way. Government officials will once again work for us. Telling the truth is the only way to rebuild trust that decades of lies have ruined. So that's the first crisis, the crisis of lies. The second is even more dangerous. It's the crisis of division. Remember during COVID, when issues about masks and vaccines were pitting family members against each other. Well, those divisions are still simmering under the surface. And the two parties keep inflaming them toward a terrifying eruption. Our politics today is so polarized that each side thinks the other doesn't just have a worse candidate, but they think the other is an existential threat to democracy and to the republic. But actually, the real threat, the real existential threat, is our division.
I know we've covered a few things. There is a lot more that we could cover. Of course, it is politics. There's a lot going on right now, like with the Pledge of Allegiance, and there was a recent YouGov poll about that. I'll do a different video on it. But is there any subject, any topic, any issue that you didn't get a chance to speak about yet that you believe is very important that you want to reach out to people and say right now?
You see, I'm going to use my media communications arts degree from Dust City College and bring it back to your point of the Pledge of Allegiance, survey that you sent me, in which this thing that kids repeat throughout their childhood was very instrumental to me at Cardinal Spelman from my social studies teacher, United States government, Mr. Rivlin. And he'll say something that I'm going to repeat that'll break a lot of mindsets. He said, you know what? This country is not a democracy. The whole class, it's a democracy. True. And what he did was mind-blowing. He said, right now, I want this entire class to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And that ended it. You see what I'm saying? Because if you repeat the Pledge of Allegiance and to the Republic for which it stands, then you see the media lies and all the promulgation, democracy. So wait a minute, this is a republic based on the United States Constitution, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, you can't fool me anymore with this democracy. He said, yeah, if this is a democracy, that means everybody has to vote every day and all day, all the time. Your representatives has to do that, for you, through you, and your votes. And democracy is dangerous because, you can have a majority taking advantage of the minority.
Yeah, the president of the Bronx.
Thank you. Gracias, Tina. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says that there is a time for everything. Hay tiempo siempre para todo. Yo le voy a pedir, bueno, mira, I got my people, you can do it. You got it. You cannot do that. Nosotros tenemos en el día de hoy una misión. We have a mission today. We have a purpose today. Tenemos un propósito hoy. Aquí en el sur del Bronx, right here in the South Bronx, we have a purpose. Black and Hispanic united. To send a message, to mandar un mensaje a Donald Trump y al mundo entero. Donald Trump, we want you in the Bronx. We want you here. We want you to come. Queremos que Donald Trump, el jueves que viene, next Thursday, Donald Trump will be here in the Bronx.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. So what's worth subscribing to? Imagine a platform where fresh perspectives, insightful interviews, and engaging discussions are at your fingertips. That's no Soundbites Allowed. And the best part? It's free with an option to support only if you choose. No Soundbites Allowed offers real talk and sharp analysis. Perfect for those who crave depth and clarity. Why break the bank for entertainment? Subscribe to No Soundbites Allowed and enjoy meaningful content without the hefty price tag.